it's a Friday night, and I'm really glad that everyone's here to support the children of Gaza, and I really applaud everyone's efforts. Many people around the world ask themselves, where is humanity? And I would answer to them by saying, humanity is right here. All of you sitting here are proof that there is still humanity in this world. The millions of people who protested along the streets all around the world, that is proof that there is still humanity. To allow ourselves to sit and watch while innocent people are being massacred in the streets and homes of Gaza, to stand up and say, this is injustice, to help them within our means. Let us step back and imagine how much the people of Gaza have suffered in the past 61 years. 1948, Yom Nakba, the day of catastrophe. The day the state of Israel was created. The day millions of people lost their homes, and most importantly, their loved ones. Thousands of people died that year, and millions became refugees. Palestinians watched as the Israelis moved into their homes. It is estimated that between 10,000 and 15,000 Palestinians died in that war. The rest of the world just stood and watched. The Palestinian people could not understand why they had to suffer, why their children had to suffer, for another people to have a land. The world kept watching while thousands of people were massacred in their homes. It was not until 1987, the first Intifada, the Palestinian uprising, literally rising up and fighting for their right, for their own land, to be able to prosper and give their family a life. From 1987 to 1993, which was the end of the first uprising, the Israelis killed 1,100 Palestinians. They continued to suffer, and the world called them terrorists for defending themselves, and still nothing. Then came the second Intifada in September 2000. The death toll, 5,500, and countless injured. Present day, December 27, 2008, the Israelis began their assault on Gaza. On the first day of this war, 225 Palestinians were killed. Since then, 1,300 Palestinians have been killed. And let us not forget that this is not just a number. These are mothers, children, brothers that have all been slain in the name of peace, in the name of justice. What about the justice for the people of Gaza who had no water or food during this tragedy? Are they not worthy of basic human rights, the right to exist? It is a common statement of the Israeli leaders that there will be no peace unless the Palestinian people acknowledge the state of Israel's existence. Does that not apply to Israeli leaders, to acknowledge the existence of Palestine? In the words of a former Israeli Prime Minister, Golda Meir, she said, there is no such thing as Palestinian people. It is not as if we came and threw them out and took their country. They didn't exist. This statement shows that not only do they not acknowledge the Palestinian land, but they do not acknowledge their lives. They took over 50% of Palestinian soil, and they keep coming back for more. They keep coming back until they reach their ultimate goal of taking all of Palestine and abolishing all of its people. The day after the UN voted to partition Palestine, former Prime Minister to Israel, Menachem Begin, said, "The partition is illegal. It will never be recognized. Jerusalem was and will forever be our capital. Israel will be restored to the people of Israel, all of it, and forever." Every Israeli Prime Minister has spoken of eliminating the Palestinian people and taking their land. Yitzhak Shamir stated in 1988, the Palestinians would be crushed like grasshoppers, heads smashed against the boulders and walls. They continue to speak about Palestinians as if they are less than human. Ehud Barak once said, the Palestinians are like crocodiles. The more you give them meat, they want more. What are the Palestinian people to do when they are thought of as animals, when they are treated as animals? And now we see the situation before us. Many think it started this past December and ended on the 21st of January. Well, those people are mistaken. The people of Gaza suffered long before that. They suffered when imports were not allowed into the city. They suffered when electricity and water was cut without notice. They suffered when curfews were established and people could not go to work or school. For the past 2 years, the people of Gaza have been treated as if they were less than worthy of the rights people deserve. Since the so-called ceasefire, many have died, including 2 girls, ages 4 and 11. Let us not forget the thousands that are wounded, the unknown amount that's still under the rubble, the rubble of their own homes, schools, mosques, churches, and even hospitals. The number of innocents killed in Gaza will keep rising if they do not receive medical aid. Medical attention has been scarce in Gaza City. They are not equipped to treat the injured. Doctors are being put in the situation whether to perform surgery on a civilian who has been shot or a mother who is giving labor. They have been asked to make these decisions of whose life is more important. How could anyone make that decision? How could a doctor decide who is more worthy of life? But that is what it has come to. And that is why we need your help and the help of anyone who believes that all humans are equal. Forget the politics, the race, the religion. These are people like you and I. They are suffering every day. Not only are the Israelis killing the people of Gaza, but they are taking away their life sources. On January 16, 2009, ACT International reported that 3 mobile health clinics in Gaza had been destroyed in an Israeli airstrike that previous night. We cannot allow more civilians in Gaza to die. We must act now to give them medical supplies and send medical officials to save the lives of the thousands injured. It is not too late to save another life. Also, on January 7, 2009, a Palestinian doctor said that the hospitals are in urgent need of medicine and supplies. There is no electricity in all of Gaza. He said that there were enough supplies to last for another week, and that was like 3 weeks ago. He went on to speak of how this is affecting the lives of the hospital staff as well. On January 6th, a nurse named Hania Murad received a call from her husband while she was at work at the hospital. He called for the hospital to send an ambulance to pick up her kids who had been injured in a bombing. However, their home was near an American international school where the ambulance is not permitted to go. The Red Cross was also unable to send an ambulance into the area. For 18 hours, her kids sat and waited, injured. One of Nurse Murad's children died that day. The doctors say that this is the life of our staff. While their hands are hard at work to save the lives of many, their hearts are home with their own children. My aunt Melissa tells me that even until now they can hear the fighter jets overhead, that for over a month the buzzing of the jets has constantly been in their ears. She says the streets smell of blood. No one has any windows on their homes from the pressure of the bombing. Her neighbor's house was bombed, and of course every home on the street was affected, some more severe than others. But the whole front portion of her small house had been destroyed. She said that during the 22-day war, she did not take a shower once. And even when they had water for a few hours, she was afraid that they would strike while she was in the shower. My great-uncle is 85 years old and said that Gaza has never witnessed such attacks. Most of my family say that they don't even have words to express the situation they are living in. Some days they have food to feed their children, and other days they must sing their children to sleep on an empty stomach. They are living in constant fear. Fear that any moment could be their last. Fear that any moment would be the last time they held their child in their arms. A cousin of mine named Tamid al-Khandi, who cannot be older than 7, had his legs amputated after being hit by a phosphorus bomb. My uncle said with a heavy heart that he loved to play soccer. Another young cousin told me that she witnessed her neighbor die because she was ill and could not get any medicine. She told me that they are standing strong and she is no longer afraid of the dark, that they are standing strong by the prayers of the world. This is the words of a child of Gaza, who has witnessed more than a child should. This is a nation that is deprived of freedom in their own land, deprived of freedom to enjoy their life, and even deprived of their mother's laps. This is their freedom, a freedom in a prison. We must stand in solidarity with the people of Gaza and every person who is suffering anywhere around the world. We must empathize with them and say no to the occupation, and no to the violence, and yes to freedom.